earliest memory is riding in my grandfather's boat, arm over the side, hand in the spray. I've spent much of the rest of my life chasing this feeling. All of that has led to this. The wooden boat experience. Where's the ball? You ready to go, bud? All right. Hold on a second. Here we go. Ready? Bring it back here. Come on. Put it right here. Don't be lazy. Thank you. It is a cold one this morning. Sunday morning, it's 7 degrees outside. It's about 35 according to the thermometer in the back of the boat shed, but the side of the boat that's in the sun is very warm, so I'm going to throw a little total fare on today while I'm getting the chance. But this came 2 days ago and I hadn't had a chance to open it up yet, and I just got to now. I finally got the sander. Thanks to everybody that ordered shirts from the shirt campaign. I ended up getting the 6-inch. I really wanted the 5-inch, but I just couldn't get it. Just nobody has it, and they keep saying it's gonna come, and it doesn't seem to be coming. So I figured I need a sander. I need to be sanding without dust in the studio and out here, protecting myself and all the stuff that I have around. So I bought this, and then we'll see. Maybe I'll get the 5-inch as well. Maybe I'll like this so much that I don't need both. But this is a start. So the thing I'm going to do this morning, I don't know if I'm going to use this morning, but I do want to see if it will turn the vacuum cleaner on when you hit the switch on this. I don't know how that works. We'll see. And if you guys remember Mike Mahoney, I will put a link to him up above on the screen. For one, he's been in some previous episodes. He hooked me up with Greg, and Greg is with Pepe's Parts Express, and that's where I got some pads here. So I've got 180, 120, and 80 grit pads. And they are hook and loop. They go on like that. And these are kind of a mesh. You can actually see through it somewhat, and they don't get as full of material as regular sandpaper, because for one thing, the way these sanders suck the material through the sanding dust, that's helpful. But also because of this mesh, it just supposedly doesn't have as much of a problem. Now, I haven't tried it out yet because I still have the issue, didn't realize this till after I opened it up, that even though they have this adapter, it still doesn't fit with the fine vacuum cleaner. Well, I do not see any orbital sanding marks, and I put it on both turbo mode and regular, and there's absolutely no dust here. Sweet. Oh, a package came today from Howard and Cheryl. With the boat nearing 50 degrees on the surface, some fairing was in order. I decided to paint the covering board and the gunnel strips, so total fair will work here. A few screws were missing from when I replaced the ribs. little more progress. Some of you might have noticed these three, 1, 2, 3 crappy pine boards that are sitting in here and wondering why they're in here. And they're just to step on as I get in the boat and as I walk on the bilge. It kind of distributes the weight over a wider area rather than if you were stepping in between the ribs and onto the garboard. There's just no sense in putting pressure on these parts going down rather than the pressure coming up from the water. It's just much better for the boat. And it's easier to walk on too. When you walk on this plank, it's much easier to walk on than on those ribs. So that's why those are in here. We got this piece out of here. As you can see, when it was painted a long time ago, that underneath that was not painted very well usually, and even when I painted last time I couldn't get behind there, so definitely had to get out of the way because I don't want spots behind here to not show, even though there's going to be ceilings, so the wood will cover here and you won't be able to see back in there very well. But if I'm going to paint it, I'm going to paint it right. So this area is pretty much ready. One of the next things that I want to do is install the gas tank and start to deal with everything back here in the transom area. The first thing I need to do is to vacuum it out now that we got those screws cut off, and then to get some paint on there. So I'm probably going to paint up to about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ribs. For now, I'll paint that far. I'm going to drape the canvas tarp over the top here, get the electric heater going in here. So later on today, it'll be warm enough for me to paint that area and for the paint to actually dry. Got the tarp pretty much in place, but just to be safe, we are going to put, you can see over there I put a clamp on there already. We don't want it from its own weight. Set you guys up here. We don't want it collapsing from its own weight and pulling the tarp down and end up drooping down on the heater. That would not be good. So throw a clamp on here, make sure it's tight this way. If I can get up here without knocking you guys off the ladder. I think I better move you again. Also see if we got a bunch of stuff. Wood shavings came off the tarp and got in here. I need to vacuum a bit. Okay. Doesn't need to be on 75 because set it on its lowest setting of 65. It's not coming off at 65 because it's not going to get it that warm in here. But we'll come in here later on and throw some bilge paint on here. there's one. You know, there's a couple of things that without which, man, this is a mess back here, without which I wouldn't be able to do this project. And one came out of not having enough money. So when I built this boat shed, I didn't have enough money to build a real building. So I built this boat shed. Well, thank goodness I did, because I have this, it's sort of facing south, and I'll draw how it actually is facing. But this exposure here that has the clear plastic is allowing the sun in. And now today it's cold. You can probably see my breath in here. I'm only coming out here to make this video. I'm not going to work today because it's an editing day. It's Thursday. But it is almost 30 in here right now. And it's probably 15 degrees higher than it is outside, even though it's not that sunny. It was sunny at the beginning of this morning, but right now it's not. But without that, I'd only be working in here maybe half the time that I have been so far, you know, when you've seen me, unless I had a wood stove going, which would add more cost and also more things to worry about, fires and stuff like that. So that's one thing. The other thing is what I'm kneeling on right now. These boat cushions. I use these two boat cushions so I can survive being inside this hull and kneeling on these odd ribs and frames and all these odd shapes and still walk at the end of the day. It's pretty comfortable kneeling on here. If I watch The Art of Boat Building and I see him kneeling inside his boat without boat cushions, and I just think, oh my goodness, that must hurt. So maybe he's got special needs. I don't. So anyway, it's a little warmer in here because of that. It's passable. I cannot more highly recommend building a boat shed like this, and I will put up above here a link back to when I first covered this up. I built this whole boat shed for less than $3,000, and that includes putting in the fill that brought it up so it wasn't wet in here. I probably brought it up 8-10 inches at least, maybe a foot. So that is pretty cheap. That includes the shrink wrap, that includes the plastic, that includes all the wood. Doesn't include the labor because that was mine, and a couple of people came over to help, but mostly I did it myself. So without those two things, unbeknownst, right here, would not be happening. But it is happening. Look at this. We can actually turn the gas cap now. Now this is dry fitting the gas tank in right now. We're going to work on that today. I'll show you what I worked on this week doing that. Figuring out how the shelves go on each side and how this plate goes in front of it. And I'm going to talk about that, what that's going to be, and not a seat like it used to be. We're going to talk about all of that today, and let's get to it. I'm Scott.ouderkirk, and this is the Wooden Boat Experience. Okay, so you've stuck around to the end, so I think you deserve to be let in on this plan. I'm going to create a Sea Skiff runabout with rear-facing aft seat. Some areas of the interior will be finished bright, and some will be painted. The floors will be painted with non-skid. In front of the gas tank, we'll have an anchor cut out for ventilation in the wood, and be hinged for access to storage around the tank. I'm still thinking about details, but I've had this plan for quite a while. As soon as I receive color samples, I will have more info on the paint colors. Here were my paint thoughts for today, subject to change, of course, and on that note, I'll see you next week in episode 25.